Students, today I am going to teach you the fourth lesson of Bliss, the poem entitled My Own True Family. This famous poem was written by the noted poet laureate Edward James Tate Hughes. The poem revolves around the hypocrisy of human beings who exploit Mother Nature for their own selfish gain and never try to repair her wounds. This remarkable poem is a warning to the mankind that if humans do not restrain their greed and continue to chop down trees and don't plant trees back to fill up the absence, then this will surely lead to the destruction of all the living creatures on earth. The poem focuses strongly on the need to protect our natural environment for the welfare of mankind before it is too late. It also preaches that humans and trees should thrive as a single family. Before going through the poem, I want to tell you something about the poet. Edward James Hughes, famously known as Tate Hughes, was born on 7th August 1930. He successfully pursued 4 careers during his life: poetry, teaching, playwriting, and children fiction writing. He became a published poet at the age of 15. His first literary piece was Wild West. He had a unique literary taste and a great poetic skill, the reason that his meetings with great literary figures and experiences of life helped him shaping his mature thoughts. He was an outstanding author. Some of his best poems include The Thought Fox, Snowdrops, Pike, View of a Pig, Hawk Roosting, Crow's First Lesson, and The Blue Flannel Suit. Some of his best fictions include The House of Donkeys, The Wound, The Hawk in the Rain, and The Tale of Ovid. He had been the Poet Laureate of Great Britain from 1984 till his death. He died on 28th October 1998. The poem My Own True Family is taken from Meet My Folks. Meet My Folks is a collection of humorous poetry for children based on the extraordinary adventure of Granny the Octopus and Flo the Witch. My Own True Family is the final poem of this book. Before explaining the poem to you, let me read the poem. My Own True Family by Tate Hughes. Once I crept in an oak wood. I was looking for a stag. I met an old woman there, all nobly stick and rag. She said, I have a secret here inside my little bag. Then she began to cackle and I began to quack. She opened up her little bag and I came twice awake, surrounded by a staring tribe and me tied to a stake. They said, We are the oak trees and your own true family. We are chopped down, we are torn up. You do not blink an eye. Unless you make a promise now, now you are going to die. Whenever you see an oak tree failed, swear now you will plant two. Unless you swear, the black oak bark will wrinkle over you and root you among the oaks where you born but never grew. This was my dream beneath the boughs, the dream that altered me. When I came out of the oak wood back to human company, my walk was the walk of a human child, but my heart was a tree. Now, students, let me explain to you the first two stanzas of the poem. The poem My Own True Family is written in a dream narration. One day, while looking for a stag, a child enters an oak wood. The child's search for the stag is a symbol of man's quest for the ideal attained. There he comes across an old woman. She is very weak and feeble, and her clothes were worn out. Here, the poet has used a metaphor in the second line of the first stanza. The old woman, all nobilistic and rag. This metaphor stands for the poor and exploited state of Mother Nature. The old woman tells the little child that she has his secret in her little bag. Saying this, the woman begins to laugh with a strange harsh sound, and this makes the boy tremble in fear. She opens up her little bag and puts the child into under a spell. Suddenly, the poet finds himself encircled by a tribe, and he is tied into a stake. The expression twice awake suggests barrenness. On his first waking, the poet saw the old woman, and in the next phase of his dream, he woke up to see the tribe of oak tree surrounding him. So, this is what the expression twice awake means. In the third and fourth stanzas, we find that it was a moment of the poet's moral awakening. In a visionary dream, the child finds himself surrounded by an old tribe speaking to him. The members of this tribe are none else but the oak trees. Here, the poet has used a very popularly used poetic device called personification. The oak trees are personified over here. They have been given human attributes, the reason why they can talk and act like human beings. The oak trees introduce themselves as poet's own true family. They declare that they are nipped and mutilated indiscriminately, but human beings do not pay attention to them. They remain cruelly indifferent. They ask the poet to make an oath right now to protect trees, or it will bring about their ruin in long run. Whenever he finds a tree failed, he must plant two instead, else the black oak tree will shroud over him and engrave him among the roots. Now let us talk about the concluding stanza. Now in the last stanza, it's a revelation. As I have already told you that it is a dream narration. So the incident that the poet has talked about in the first 4 stanzas is not a real incident. It is happening in the dreams of the poet, a dream that transforms his inner conscience. When he wakes up, he realizes his mistake and becomes aware of the harm they are causing to the Mother Nature. He feels sorry for the trees, and his heart is filled with compassion for the trees. Therefore, on his way back to the human society, he was a human child in form but a tree at heart. The dream within a dream of the poet is a symbol of spiritual reawakening. So girls, this is all about the poet and the poem. Now let us move on to the summary of the poem. The poet, once when he was a small boy, went to a forest full of oak trees. He was chasing and looking for a deer. There he met with a very feeble and weak old woman. She terrified him both with her appearance and words. She laughed in loud and harsh way. The little boy started trembling with fear. She showed a bag to the boy and said that she knew his secret, which perhaps made the boy very curious. Then the old woman began to shake her bag in a magical way. The boy fell unconscious and probably dreamt a dream which is of utmost significance in today's world. In his dream, he was tied to a wooden stake. Within a magical spell, the little boy found himself surrounded by a tribe of oak trees. They were looking at him angrily. The oak trees told him that they were his own true family and best friends. They expressed their anger and frustration by saying that when they were cut off or torn up, the author had been indifferent to their destruction and had not opposed the act of deforestation. So, they threatened the boy that they would kill him unless he made a promise to stop deforestation, and also that he would plant 2 trees when one is fell down. If the poet refused to swear so, they would kill the poet and root him at the same place among oak trees where he was born. Although he was born there, he did not grow up near the tree. He was indifferent to the Mother Nature. He was not aware of the significant role played by the trees. He did not have an attitude to save trees. But this incident was not a real incident. It was but a dream which the poet had dreamed sitting under the branches of the trees. When the poet woke up, his inner conscience had already transformed. He started feeling sorry for the trees. Though he came back to his fellow campmates, now he was a tree in his heart. He, on behalf of the entire mankind, realized the mistake, and his heart got filled up with passion for the trees. Now he is determined to save trees and greenery. So, initially, the poem reflected the simple and timid mentality of children. Later on, the author introduced a lesson for the humanity through a dream of a small boy. The poet, through this dream narration, protested against deforestation and campaigned for afforestation. Students, I hope you all have understood the poem My Own True Family by Ted Hughes. Here are some practice materials for you. Please practice them at home. Question number 1. Choose the correct alternative to complete the following sentences. A. The old lady began to option A. Scream, B. Threaten, and C. Laugh in a loud, harsh way. Question number B. The poem is a dream narration, or option B. Anti-war poem, or C. Romantic lyric. Question C. The poet of My Own True Family is Edward Thomas Ted Hughes, Edward James Ted Hughes, or Edward Martin Ted Hughes. Question number D. The source of the poem is A. The Hawk in the Rain, B. Tales of Ovid, or C. Meet My Folks. Question number 2. State whether the following statements are true or false. Provide phrases or words or sentences in support of your answer. Question number A. The poet crept twice in an oak wood. B. The child was not afraid at the cackle of the old woman. C. The child was compelled to make the promise at once. Number D. The poet had the dream under the branches of the tree. And number E. The poet altered into a human being having heart of a tree. Question number 3. Answer the following questions. A. Who wrote the poem My Own True Family? B. When did the poet come twice awake? C. What did the old woman begin to do? D. What did the child begin to do at the woman's cackle? E. What would happen to the poet if he failed to make the promise? F. What altered the poet? G. In what sense did the child twice awake? H. What happened when the old woman opened her bag? I. What promise was the child compelled to make? J. What would happen if the child did not keep the promise? K. How was the child altered? L. What are the complaints of the oak trees? Students, you are also requested to do the comprehension exercises number 1, 2 and 3 on pages 33 and 34 of Bliss for class 10. Thank you.